What's wrong? It broke. Okay, just keep it on your lap at the moment and don't move from there, and you should hopefully be okay. Or maybe you can go and sit on that chair over there so that you're far away from everyone. Yeah. Is it Yusuf? Yes. Come and sit on that chair, please, Yusuf. Okay. So today we're going to learn about Bibi Zainab, and we're going to trace the lineage of Bibi Zainab. The lineage of Bibi Zainab means who was in her family tree, whose child she was, whose grandchild she was, and so on. We're going to talk about some of the beautiful and admirable characteristics of Bibi Zainab, and we're going to talk about the important role that she played in Karbala and how she spread the message of Imam Hussein. And the key words we're going to learn today are actually names of Bibi Zainab. Okay, so one of Bibi Zainab's titles is Ummul Masa'ib. Ummul Masa'ib means the mother of tragedies. You know what a tragedy is? A tragedy is something very, very sad. When something really sad or terrible happens, that's called a tragedy. So Bibi Zainab was called the mother of tragedies because what she and her family went through in Karbala was really a tragedy. Okay, so she went through a very hard time, and that's why she's called Ummul Masa'ib, the mother of tragedies. Another title of Bibi Zainab is Alima, which means a knowledgeable lady, a lady who has a lot of knowledge. When there is someone who is an alim, have you heard of the word alim before? Can you not see? Is that the problem? Come and sit back here, that's fine. If there is a man who is very knowledgeable, he knows a lot of information, you call him an alim, okay? And if there is a lady who has a lot of knowledge, we call her alima. And Bibi Zainab's title was alima غير muallam, which means she was a knowledgeable lady who hadn't been taught. She didn't have a teacher. She knew the knowledge without being taught it. She had knowledge from elsewhere, and we'll find out why. And the last title that we're going to have as a keyword is Aqilatu Bani Hashim, which is the noble woman of the Bani Hashim. Do you know what noble is? A lady who, noble is someone who is very honorable or very good, okay? And, sorry? Not kind, someone who has a very good characteristics. You have a better word?
Well, I heard somebody, somebody is
Yes. Teaching is a noble profession, and Bibi Zainab was a noble person, okay? But she was a noble woman of the Banu Hashim, and the Banu Hashim was the family of the Prophet. They were called the Banu Hashim. All right. So let's go straight to our lesson today. And in our lesson, we're going to start with oh, we can't start at the end, can we? Might be a good idea to start at the beginning. Bibi Zainab was born in the 5th year after Hijrah to Imam Ali and Bibi Fatima. She was their 3rd child. Okay? In this lesson, we'll learn about her life, her upbringing, her characteristics, and the role that she played in serving the cause of Islam. Bibi Zainab's father was none other than Imam Ali, who was the very first person to accept Islam. Well, he was the very first man. The first woman to accept Islam was Bibi Khadija, the Prophet's wife. Imam Ali was brave, he was just, and he was eloquent. That means that when he spoke very well and very clearly, and people liked to listen to what he was saying. Bibi Zainab's mother was Sayyida Fatima, who is the leader of all the women of the world. And she also was a strong believer, she was generous, and she was close to Allah. Do you know who was Bibi Fatima's father? Yes? Prophet Muhammad. So Even Bibi Zainab's grandparents were very noble. We know that Bibi Zainab's grandfather was Prophet Muhammad, right? Bibi Zainab had the same upbringing and the same family as two of our A'imma. Those two A'imma are Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein because Bibi Zainab was their sister. So she had the same upbringing as two very important Imams. One of her titles was Aqila to Bani Hashim, which was our keyword, and it means a noble lady of Bani Hashim. Now, this is the family tree of Bibi Zainab. So you can see that Bibi Zainab's mother was Bibi Fatima, her father was Imam Ali, and Bibi Fatima was the daughter of Rasulullah and Sayyidah Khadija. Imam Ali was the son of Hazrat Abu Talib, who used to look after the Kaaba. And Imam Ali's mother was Fatima bint Asad. And the four children of Bibi Fatima and Imam Ali were Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein, Bibi Zainab, and Bibi Kulthum. Bibi Zainab grew up in Medina in a very special house. That was a house like no other because it was the household of the Prophet. It was the Ahlul Bayt. She was the first granddaughter of Prophet Muhammad, and it has been narrated that Prophet Muhammad was the one who named Bibi Zainab. You know what Bibi Zainab's name means? It can have two meanings. Can you tell me one meaning? You mean somebody who's eloquent and very good at public speaking, like Imam Ali, but that's not the meaning of the name Zainab. That's one of the titles of Bibi Zainab. Okay, it's not her name. Do you know what the word Zainab means? Let's see, it might tell us here. One meaning of Zainab is a very scenic or beautiful tree. Another meaning of Zainab is the adornment or the beauty of her father. If you look at the word Zainab, it can be divided into two words, Zain and Ab. In Arabic, Ab means father and Zain means beauty. So Bibi Zainab was the beauty of her father. Okay, isn't that a beautiful name? She had two brothers. We've already seen that from the family tree, Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein, and she also had a younger sister called Kulthum. Because it was such a rich and Islamic environment that she was growing up in, Bibi Zainab was very intelligent and she had a very strong faith. And from a very young age, she saw how her mother and father, Imam Ali and Bibi Fatima, struggled in the way of Islam. In fact, Bibi Fatima had to give a sermon once upon a time when she lost a piece of land called Fadak that Prophet Muhammad had given Bibi Fatima. And Bibi Zainab went and spoke about Fadak. Bibi Zainab was only 6 years old at the time, but she remembered the entire speech that Bibi Fatima gave, and she made sure she told other people as well what was said in that speech of Bibi Fatima's about Fadak. So Bibi Zainab was a reliable source of ahadith. Do you remember we talked about that a few nights ago, about hadith and how narrators talk about what happened in the past, and that's how we hear stories about what happened in the Prophet's time or the Imam's time. Ali, were you going to say something? I can't hear you, sorry. Okay. Okay. In this verse from Surah Al-Ahzab, verse number 4, Allah says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allah has not put two hearts in any man's chest. What this means is that no man is able to like two different things. Either they like one type of thing or they like another type of thing. And what it really means is what Allah was showing us was that believers are told that they cannot be faithful to Allah and Rasulullah, but at the same time be friends with disbelievers and hypocrites. Okay? So Allah was showing that people in their heart can only follow one type of thing. Either they can try to be good and be on the side of Allah and Rasulullah, or they can become disbelievers. They can't be a disbeliever and a believer at the same time. Okay? Imam Ali said, the love for the Ahlul Bayt can never coexist with allegiance to their enemies. For a man has not been given two hearts. Imam Ali is explaining this verse from the Quran a little bit more. He says that the love for Ahlul Bayt cannot be in the same heart as the heart which loves the enemies of the Ahlul Bayt. One who claims to be our friend and at the same time be a friend of our enemies, he is not of us and we are not for him. All right? Is that clear? Bibi Zainab's own family, we're going to talk about that now. Bibi Zainab married her first cousin, Abdullah, who was the son of her uncle Ja'far al-Tayyar. Ja'far al-Tayyar was the brother of Imam Ali, and Bibi Zainab married her cousin Abdullah. Abdullah was a very noble and generous man. Let's wait for a little while. Bibi Zainab and Hazrat Abdullah had two sons, On and Muhammad. And On and Muhammad went with Bibi Zainab and Imam Hussein to Karbala, and they were both martyred on the day of Ashura. It has also been said that Bibi Zainab had two other sons, and their names were Abbas and Muhammad. And she also had a daughter called Kulthum. What were the characteristics of Bibi Zainab? What sort of a person was she? Because she had a very pious upbringing, living with the Ahlul Bayt, Bibi Zainab developed an amazing personality. She dedicated her life to Allah, and there are many, many lessons that we can learn from her life. Here are some of her beautiful characteristics. Bibi Zainab had a very strong faith in Allah. It was so strong that she sacrificed everything in His path. She left her family behind in Medina to be with Imam Hussein when he traveled to Karbala on his mission. She took her sons On and Muhammad with her, but she left everything else behind when she traveled with Imam Hussein. Bibi Zainab is known as the partner of Imam Hussein. The Arabic word for that is Sharikatul Hussein. Remember that. That's one of the titles of Bibi Zainab. It's not in the keywords, but it's a title of Bibi Zainab. Sharikatul Hussein means the partner of Hussein. Why was she the partner of Hussein? We'll find out a bit later on. She was even the representative of Imam Hussein because she played a very important role in his mission. So after Imam Hussein died on the day of Ashura, then Bibi Zainab became the leader of the people who were left behind, of the Ahlul Bayt and the women who were left behind at that time. Throughout the tragedy of Karbala, Bibi Zainab's words and actions show her intense love and faith in Allah. One of her titles was Masa'ib, which we've seen in the keywords, and that means the mother of tragedies. She was called this because of the number of tragedies that she saw throughout her life. In spite of all the sorrow and tragedy that Bibi Zainab had to go through, her faith in Allah never shook. And she knew that the ultimate justice would be served for the oppressions which were done against the Ahlul Bayt. She knew that Allah was just and He would be just towards the Ahlul Bayt and those who had been the oppressors. In fact, she told Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad, do you remember Ubaidullah? He was the governor of Kufa. Okay? She told Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad, Allah will gather you and us together. You will put your excuses to him and we will be your opposition before him. So she told Ubaidullah, we will all gather together before Allah. And when you are giving your excuses for why you killed Hussein and his companions and his family on the day of Ashura, we will be your opposition in front of Allah. We will talk against you in front of Allah. So she was very strong and brave. She stood up against the governor of that time and she told him that Allah would be just. Another quality of Bibi Zainab was that she was very pious and she worshipped Allah a lot. Remember we talked about piety? What's the Arabic word for piety? Do you remember? It starts with a T. Isa, that's unity. Okay? Piety is Amina, taqwa. Well done. Okay? So Bibi Zainab had a lot of taqwa and she worshipped Allah a lot. One of her many titles is Abida. Abida means a lady worshipper. Okay? And it refers to someone who worships Allah a lot. It has been narrated that Bibi Zainab recited Salat al-Layl. Do you know that prayer? It's also called Namaz-e-Shab. Well done, Ali. And that's a night prayer. It's a prayer that has 11 rakats and you can recite it in the middle of the night when you have very special wishes that you want to ask Allah. You wake up in the middle of the night or just before Fajr time, and that's the special time to say Salat al-Layl or Namaz-e-Shab. And one of Bibi Zainab's characteristics was that she always recited Salat al-Layl. Even after the night of even after Ashura, on the night after Ashura, when she had spent the whole day in tragedy, she still recited her Salat al-Layl. Even though she was tired and hungry, she always turned to Allah. Imam Zainul Abidin said that during the entire journey they made from Karbala to Kufa to Sham and then to Medina finally at the end, Bibi Zainab never missed her Salat al-Layl. At times she would sit and recite because she was so weak. She wouldn't be able to stand and recite her Salatul Layl. She had to sit down, but she still made sure she recited it, okay? Because she had become quite weak because she was hungry and she had also faced so much troubles and tragedies that she had become very weak and it was sometimes very difficult for her to stand. In spite of all that, she still recited her Salatul Layl. Another characteristic is that she was knowledgeable. Remember, we learned one of our keywords? One of the keywords was alima. And alima is someone who is very knowledgeable. In the court of Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad, when Imam Zainul Abidin said about Bibi Zainab, he said, praise to Allah, you are an alima, you are a scholar who has not been taught by anyone. Remember I told you she was alima ghair muallam. That means that she was a scholar or a knowledgeable lady who hadn't been taught by anyone. Allah had given her this gift. She was a woman of understanding from her own efforts, not because of anyone else. This is compliment or praise that an imam gave to Bibi Zainab, who was actually his aunt. Okay? And it shows that she had a very high and noble status. Bibi Zainab gave many, many speeches after the day of Ashura. And also before that, when she was living in Medina, before the tragedy of Karbala had taken place, Bibi Zainab used to talk and give many speeches because she was very familiar with all the rules and the principles that were in the Quran. And she could quote the verses from the Quran very well because she knew it all by heart. Another quality of Bibi Zainab was that she was courageous and she was eloquent. Remember we talked about that? I think Arman said that. She was very well spoken. Bibi Zainab was very brave, and after the martyrdom of Imam Hussein, she had the responsibility of looking after all the women and children. Even Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad was so shocked at her bravery when she responded to his aggressions with such strength. Okay, when remember Ubaidullah was the governor, and remember what Bibi Zainab said to him? We just talked about that a few minutes ago, that she told Ubaidullah, Allah, we will all stand before Allah, and when you give Allah your excuses, we will be against you. We will talk against you. So imagine being able to stand in front of someone who has been so cruel and who has killed your brother and your family members and who could hurt you at any minute. But Bibi Zainab didn't worry about that. It made Ubaidullah say, by my life, this is real bravery. Bibi Zainab was brave because she was the daughter of Imam Ali. When Ubaidullah wanted to kill Imam Zainul Abidin, Bibi Zainab stood in front of him like a human shield, and she refused to let Ubaidullah near Imam Zainul Abidin, giving her own life, offering her own life before Imams. She gave many other sermons and speeches in the courts of Ubaidullah and other tyrants, even though she was a prisoner who had been tied in ropes. All right, so in some ways, Bibi Zainab played the role of a journalist or a narrator, because what she did was after the day of Ashura, wherever she went, she spoke and spoke about what had happened on the day of Ashura, why it had taken place, why Imam Hussein was martyred, what Yazid and Ubaidullah and all Yazid's army had done. So she was telling the Muslim Ummah about the truth of what had happened. For example, when she spoke to the people of Kufa about all these things, one of the people said, on that day, I heard the speech of Sayyida Zainab, the daughter of Imam Ali. I have not seen any modest and chaste lady with such eloquence in speech. It was as if it was being spoken by Imam Ali himself. When Bibi Zainab spoke, it reminded people of her father, Imam Ali. And when she spoke, nobody else said anything. There was a complete silence because people wanted to hear her speak. All right? So that was another of her qualities. Did you know that the first woman who recited the narrations of Karbala was none other than Bibi Zainab and all the other women who were there in Karbala? We discussed that a few days ago when we talked about Azadari. Do you remember? When we talked about Azadari, we said that one of the ways of doing Azadari is repeating the narrations of what took place on the day of Karbala. And the first people who did that were the ladies and the family of Imam Hussein, Bibi Zainab, and all the other women who were there in Karbala. You have something to add?
You know how you said that if you does that count if you're like an adult selling children and they don't have
Yes. Yep. Yes, Sakina. Correct. One of the other things in Azadari is to mourn. So when Bibi Zainab used to tell people what had happened in Karbala on the day of Ashura, the people who were listening used to feel very sad and they began to weep and cry. Okay? When the women and children of the Ahlul Bayt were released from the prison in Damascus, they spread the message of what took place on the day of Ashura far and wide. Many lines of poetry were narrated by them. Remember, we said that Rabab, one of the wives of Imam Hussein, recited poetry because she had lost her baby Ali Asghar on the day of Ashura. She had lost her husband, Imam Hussein, as well. So many lines of poetry were written about or narrated about the day of Ashura. Whenever we remember Karbala, the name of Bibi Zainab shines because her role in Karbala was very important in saving Islam. Okay, I think we've come to a crossword. Now, I hope we're going to be able to do this crossword today. Okay, so let's look at the clues. Sayyida Zainab died on the 15th of Rajab, 62 after Hijrah, and is buried in which city in Syria? Yes, Isa? Damascus. Where are we going to put that? Damascus. Let's see. Oh, no, okay. Let's see. That one? Okay. Damascus. Okay. Zainab means adornment of her, yes, Zainab? Father. Okay. Where is that going to go? Can you see here? Here? Okay. She was married to, yes, Ali, Abdullah. Here? Okay. She was known for her courage and bravery as she gave powerful something to the tyrants while being a prisoner tied in ropes. Yes, let's have Fatima. Speeches, yes, it could be speeches or sermons. So let's see, I don't know which one fits. Let's try speech. No, let's try sermons. That seems to fit, okay? Okay, the down clues. One of her titles was Ummul Masaib, which means mother of, yes, Sakina. Okay, yes, tragedy. Yes, I think that will go here. Tragedies. Sayyida Zainab was the daughter of Bibi Fatima and Imam. Let's see. Okay, yes, Ali. That was quite an easy one. She had two sons who were martyred in Karbala and they were called something and Muhammad. Okay, yes, Sakina. No. Cheyenne. On. And the last one, when Sayyida Zainab spoke to the people of Kufa, one of them said, I have not seen any and chaste lady with such eloquence in speech. Yes. No, it's an adjective which will fit here, so it has an O in it. Yes? Who is that? You know the answer? No. Okay, that's okay. What do you think this word is going to be? Remember, we did talk about what it meant. We said Bibi Zainab was I'll give you a clue. That first letter is N. Yes. Very good. Good remembering. Noble. I have not seen any. Oh, what's wrong here? No, I thought it was going to be noble. Well, let's see. Let's try and see what happens. Well, it doesn't actually give us a chance to click to the next. Oh, we have to click to the next page. Oh, didn't tell us all the answers. That's very odd. Well, I thought because we didn't finish it. Let's go back. Oh, yeah. Okay. What page was it on? It was on page 7. Let's see. I hope it's going to be there, all our hard work. No, it's gone. We know the answers. I think it's just that last one that I've got it here. It says, I have not seen any modest and chaste lady. Okay, that makes sense because there was an O there. Okay, so that's okay. We can move on to the next page. There is another test yourself, which I think we'll be able to do at the end. Okay, let's go on to. Okay, I think this will bring us to key points, and then there's a test yourself. What's happening? So the key things that we have learned in today's lesson is how Bibi Zainab inherited many wonderful qualities from her noble family. Some of those qualities, can you remember any of those qualities? Shayan, tell me one. She was a very eloquent speaker, very good. Okay, can you tell me one? She was the, she was the, I can't hear you. No, she was the beauty of her father. Is that what you said? Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you. Okay, yes, Arman. Okay, let's see, Amina. She had inherited the bravery of her father, yes. Yes, Arman. She had very strong faith in Allah. Isa, she was very noble, yes. Shayan, she was? She was Akila Bani Hashim. Okay, and do you have one more? Mother of tragedies, yes. She had a lot of knowledge. She was very pious. She had taqwa and she worshipped a lot. She had a very strong faith in Allah. These are some of her qualities. Her other qualities included her spirit of sacrifice and her patience. Bibi Zainab was very brave and she was an eloquent speaker who spoke truth to power to Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad and Yazid. She had a very important role to play in Karbala, in Imam Hussein's mission, and she was one of the first reporters and journalists for the events that took place. It is reported that she's buried in either Damascus or Cairo or Medina. So a lot of people think she's buried in Damascus, but some people say she could be buried in Cairo or in Medina. Okay, now let's go to the next page, which has the test yourself, which I know everyone wants to do. Okay. Sayyida Zainab's paternal and maternal grandfathers. So do you remember that family tree? Rasulullah and Abu Talib, Abdullah and Abdul Muttalib, Imam Ali and Imam Hassan. Can you please sit down? Thank you. Hashim and Umayyah. Which one is it? Just call it out because everyone knows the answer. Okay. Which characteristics of Sayyida Zainab were manifested the most in the court of Yazid? Was it her piety, or her courage and eloquence, her faith, or her worship? Yes, let's see. Okay, you can tell me that. Is it Hussein? Yep. I don't think that's the one. Sakina? Her courage and eloquence, because she was very brave in the court of Yazid and she spoke very well. Which title of Bibi Zainab means the noble lady of Banu Hashim? Shayan. Okay. Why was Bibi Zainab given the title of Alima? She was a scholar who was not taught by anyone, and she was a woman of understanding. She was brave, she was eloquent, she was raised alongside Tu'aymah. Yes, Zainab. Correct. She was a scholar who was not taught by anyone. And when did she die? Yes, Ali. The first one. Okay. I don't think it was that one. Yes, Fatima. Okay, 62. How did we do? 5 out of 5, correct. Okay, before we leave today, I want to talk very quickly about what happened to Bibi Zainab's sons. Remember we talked about Hazrat Aun and Muhammad? So I want to tell you what took place in Karbala, what tragedy took place. And for that, you're going to listen. I'm not going to read a very long story, but I want you to sit quietly and listen. And when we finish that, we will recite Ziyarat and then we will finish the majlis. Okay? So it was the night of Ashura. Bibi Zainab was telling her sons Aun and Muhammad, "O my sons, tomorrow is the day of sacrifice. If you get near the river Furat during the battles, do not drink water because Bibi Sakina will be thirsty." And the children replied, "Oh mother, have faith in us. We will do the right thing. We are the students of Uncle Abbas." On the day of Ashura, when the battle began, Bibi Zainab lifted the curtain of the tent and she saw that On and Muhammad were following Imam Hussein. She called out to her sons and she said, "Oh, my sons, you have still not gone to fight?" On and Muhammad said, "Oh, mother, Uncle Hussein will not let us go." Sayyidah Zainab called Imam Hussein to her tent and she said, "My brother, why will you not accept my sacrifice? Why will you not let my sons go to fight?" Imam Hussein then allowed On and Muhammad to go, and personally he made them ready for battle. He helped them to climb their horses and he sent them to the battlefield. He watched them from the hill. On and Muhammad fought bravely, managing to reach the tent of Umar Saad. He inquired who they were. Umar Saad said, "Who are these two boys?" And he was told that they were the grandsons of Ali and Ja'far. He ordered for them to be surrounded from all sides by the soldiers, and he told the soldiers, "Throw stones and arrows on him, on those two boys." When Imam saw this, he called out to Abbas to come with him. As they ran towards On and Muhammad, he heard the children cry, "Oh, Uncle Hussein." When Imam Hussein reached them, they had been martyred. Imam Hussein carried On and Hazrat Abbas carried Muhammad. When Bibi Zainab saw her martyred sons, what do you think she did? She laid out her musalla and she thanked Allah for accepting her sacrifice. Okay, let us end our majlis with the ziyarat that we have been reading every day. Let's stand and recite ziyarat and then we will end the majlis. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Thank you for being very good listeners today. See you tomorrow night, inshallah. You may go back to your parents now. What are the keywords? What do you think are the keywords?